Want to tell the Rebbe the words of the new song that we're singing with Mashiach, right? So I'm just going to read him. Am Yisrael, have no fear. Mashiach will be here this year. We want Mashiach now. We don't want to wait. Okay? Mashiach now, we want Mashiach now. Oh yeah, Am Yisrael, have no fear, Mashiach will be this year. Am Yisrael, have no fear, Mashiach will be here this year. We want Mashiach now, we want Mashiach now, we don't want to wait. We want Mashiach now, Mashiach now, we don't want to wait. Am Yisrael, have no fear, Mashiach will be here this year. Am Yisrael, have no fear, Mashiach will be here this year. We want Mashiach now, we want Mashiach now, we want Mashiach now, we don't want to wait. We want Mashiach now, we want Mashiach now, we want Mashiach now, we don't want to wait. Hey!
So welcome everyone. Just kind of decided to do a last minute stream as it's getting in the lead up to Passover. Thought I would do a funny little Passover play on words. Haroset Pascar and the Seder of Secrets. I mean, it's beyond cringy, but try to come up with something in a few minutes. So there's that. So just before we get started, I did want to address this one thing of, what does Messiah even mean? Because there's so many different ways to interpret it. And, within any given religion, let alone all the different religions that have this idea. But here's a clip that I took from this one. It's a longer video, but it's not a whole lot long.
Stage, which is the messianic stage that when we all say Mashiach now, like what are we really talking about? So he says that we're talking about a stage where that is the complete tikkun of the masculine and feminine, where they meet panim b'panim, shaveh legamre, face to face and completely equal. And I was like, whoa, this is the Ari. It sounds like a feminist treatise, like, whoa. And so that really then inspired me to look more deeply into what he was saying and to try to understand how his ideas applied to real life, to people's lives, to women's lives, to women and men's lives, and also to just understand how those ideas then are unpacked in later generations and other rabbinic writings. So that was how the whole journey began. And I've taught the material to classes. That's where it really gets enriched, where when I'm teaching in a class and a stage, which is the messianic stage that when we all say Mashiach.
So, so it's something that, some people look at it very esoterically, some people look at it exoterically, some people look at it both, and then I tend to go off on a completely different understanding. I mean, it's nice to think that there's this idea of a person who will come, but at the end of the day, I think that it's missing the point, because it's like, the whole idea of God, you pray to God to save you from a flood or whatever, and then, boat shows up and you turn away and be like, no, I'm waiting for God to save me. Then a helicopter shows up. You're like, no, I'm waiting for God to save me. And then you die and you end up in heaven and God's like, oh, well, why are you here? I send all these things to save you. And you're like, oh, that was you. I mean, it's one of those things where I think it's Like if you're waiting for someone to save you, or basically if you're waiting for this one specific thing to happen in order to save yourself, then it's like, I don't know. I just feel like it's been so, in a lot of ways, you have this mystification of a very political thing rather than a mystification of a mystical thing or a politicization of a political thing. It's like it's gotten interwoven in a way where it makes it kind of hard to really distinguish the two. But I mean, I do think there are two different ideas of assignment, anointed and like this idea of a redeemer versus someone who's simply anointed, or not simply anointed, but see, what was I looking for? Oh, right, Jews and wizards. Let's see. And also, I think I threw a link to join in chat. Oh, let's see who's this. Oh, hey, Usal. Yeah, I've been all right. I've just been really busy lately. It's good to see you as always. And yeah, here's the link to join for anyone who wants to join. So just for context, this is like a Hebrew Christian channel. I mean, they definitely, this guy, honestly, for being like someone who has like a religious agenda, which I mean, not like, I mean, I think everyone has, whether your agenda is no religion or whether your agenda is a religion or whether your agenda is don't take it seriously. Everyone has an agenda on it, but I mean, for people that have an agenda, honestly, it's not that in your face. It's like you definitely see their beliefs, but it's not in a way where, I don't know. It's one of those things where I mean, at least also as someone who's studying to be a scholar, I just think that it's kind of silly to, like, as long as a video isn't just completely making shit up left and right, I don't think there's there's no issue with people sharing their beliefs, because at the end of the day, if people didn't, how would we even know what people in the past believed? I do want to clarify, I'm not saying what people say now is what people in the past believe, but I'm saying if people in the past didn't say what they believe, we wouldn't know now what they believed then.
Very few people stop to actually ponder the origin of the classic fantasy wizard, often wearing a pointy hat, holding a staff, and depicted hunched over a pile of dusty books, amid piles of scrolls with jars containing strange concoctions of chemicals bubbling away in the background. In the fantasy world, this image is the epitome of the wise man, the old elusive scholar surrounded by old books and candles, reading deep secrets from ancient tomes. Believe it or not, the classic wizard of popular stories originated from the appearance of the typical medieval Jewish sage. The flowing robe, long white beard.
Also, just for context, because don't want people to think all of a sudden that I have some sort of futuristic weapon. It's a torch that I got because my old one wasn't working. So I do want to admit part of this is showing off, but so it's like a little ray gun. But yeah, I'm not just happening to shoot my bong with the gun. That would be stupid and a waste of money. So I'm not doing it. Ah, shoot. Now I have to go back to change tabs to continue.
Constant proximity to scrolls, ointments, and incenses and trinkets formed the basis of the popular look of such fantasy characters as J.R.R. Tolkien's Gandalf the Grey and J.K. Rowling's wizard headmaster Dumbledore. Think about it. How did these characters develop? What was their inspiration? Judaism has always had a tradition of an unbroken chain of mystical representatives of Hashem, through whom divine beneficence flows to the earth. After all, whether people like it or not, it is why
Don't you ever break the chains. Sorry, it's like you can't say that without getting that song in someone's head.
widely known that the great wise men of the East came to pay homage after the arrival of Mashiach, known as the Magi, which is plural from the Greek magos. This is where we get the term magic. These men came from Babylonia, descendants of the prophet Daniel's students, their ancestors. Many of them originally practicing foreign sorcery, became schooled in the ways of Torah and the ability to discern from the heavenly bodies the time of Mashiach's arrival, which they passed on. Rabbi Yehuda Loeb ben Bezalel is perhaps one of the best known Jewish sages in history that really personifies the familiar look of the classic wizard, especially with the legend of his creation of the golem. In fact, few people know that the Sorcerer's Apprentice scene with Mickey Mouse in the 1940 animated film Fantasia is based on a story from Rabbi Loeb after his wife tasked his golem to mop the floor of his study. The golem kept pouring more buckets of water on the floor as he had not received an instruction to stop after the first application. When Rabbi Yehuda returned, his study was in a terrible state.
Hey, Elsie.
The distinctive pointy hat, seen in the typical depiction of a wizard or mage, came from a mandate instituted from the church that was decreed in 1215 at the conclusion of the Fourth Lateran Council, presided over by Pope Innocent III. The decree went out invoking the command that all Jews wear particular clothing. Part of this clothing consisted of a Judan hat, a pointed Jewish hat.
Boo, you didn't hat. We don't like forced hats. That's not cool.
Another feature of
Voluntary
the
hat,
typical
that's
wizard
another
iconography is that of the magic wand. This came by way of the yud, Hebrew for hand, which is popularly known as the Torah pointer, used by the reader to follow the text during the ritual reading from the Torah scroll. Throughout history, some rabbis used the yud to emphasize a point in a shiur, and in some cases it was used to actually point at someone. In the incident in the synagogue in Capernaum, Rebbe Yeshua HaNotzri was confronted with a demon-possessed man during his reading. His command over the demon was impressive, and in his hand would have almost certainly been a yad. Foreigners who began to hear of this story acclimated his power to being connected to the Torah pointer in his hand at the time. So much so that Yeshua is depicted with a wand raising Lazarus from the dead in the catacomb of Giordani in Rome from around the 3rd century. He is also depicted as wielding a wand in this 4th century fresco from Rome's Via Latina catacombs, again showing the raising of Lazarus. Most people are familiar with the phrase abracadabra, but interestingly, this term comes from the Aramaic abrak ad habra, which means I create what I speak. Reciting aloud a specific sacred text to produce a supernatural effect is not the domain of pagans, nor was it originally a practice that started with them. Speak.
I'm sorry. Well, first of all, this isn't actually certain to be. It's possible that it was just gibberish that then was found to have a meaning within Aramaic. But even if it is, I have no clue how horribly they messed this up. I mean, this is someone who's supposed to know Hebrew, supposedly. So this is avra. I will create abera, because bara is to create. Ke, as or like, divra, the word. So like I will create like the word, or I will create as I speak. But the thing is that it's difficult because davra, this implies a feminine, whereas this would have to be like avre. I don't know Aramaic well enough to figure it out, but either way, it's not abrak ad. It's not abrak had. It's not abrak ad habra. It's avrakad, or not even. It would be like avra ka davra.
Reciting aloud a specific sacred text to produce a supernatural effect is not the domain of pagans, nor was it originally a practice that started with them. The longing to discern the outcome of a future event or to manipulate nature in times of distress are not, by definition, characteristics of someone who practices the dark arts. But the fact that most people who try to achieve such results use twisted and unhinged methods to do so has conditioned most people to think otherwise. There is a concept
Paganism does not equal the dark arts, dude.
within rabbinic Judaism that outlines the use of Torah and
Like, yeah, there's magic in the Talmud and there's magic in the Bible, but don't try to separate it in a way that it's not. Like, this is intrinsically connected to the rest of the ancient world. Also, just gotta love this Ashrei.
and Psalms to achieve specific results. These works, though they appear esoteric, encapsulate this idea. They are known as the Shimush Torah and the Shimush Tehillim. The word Shimush means practical use of, and many of these passages in Scripture are known to reveal many of Hashem's names and, upon utterance, with correct concentration, allow the achievement of particular phenomenon. If this information that I'm sharing with you is interested you, please consider hitting us up for a like and subscribe to our channel if you haven't already. Now, before I close off on another episode, I want to ask you, are you looking for the Torah in everyday things that at first glance appear to have nothing to do with it? Or are you always looking for the bad aspects in things? Remember, we are not called to look for the potential evil in everything. We are called to look for the good, learn what is good, and be obedient to it. Bye for now. Before you go, if you like this series and you want to find out much more, check out our books, All Lights On in the Master's House, Lightning from the Master's House, Flying Chariot, Fallen Dragon, and Is Alcoholic. All available on Amazon.com and other online bookstores, and help us to continue to spread the word.
Hey, Grum. Welcome. How's your night going?
Thanks, Ariel. Pretty good. Morning kind of here, but yeah.
Meh. Same schmam. So, what are your thoughts on that video?
No, it's interesting. It lays out a lot of the, the wizard thing versus the Jewish scholar.
Yeah, it's not that commonly that you can get someone talking about Jews being wizards without it getting anti-Semitic quickly.
Well, I don't know why it would need to go anti-Semitic other than people want to go there, but whatever.
And maybe that's just the thing. It's kind of like, what is it? Maybe it's just that anti-Semites flock to Jewish topics like flies flock to shit. Actually, that's a horrible comparison, but you get what I'm saying.
I was going to say, Ariel. I think I'm not sure Jewish topics qualify quite that category, but I understand the sentiment.
Maybe like fruit flies with fruit. That's better.
Bears to honey.
All I know is that I was thinking about the anti-Semites as flies, and it just happened to be that the first thing I think about when I think of flies is shit, not fruit.
Well, you're also kind of thinking the anti-Semites is shit, so it's all good.
Fair enough. And you know what they say: you are what you eat.
I'm not going to throw stones there.
I mean, I'm not going to get into it, but I mean, I can at least speak for myself and say that I do not eat feces.
At least intentionally. I've read too many government reports talking about, like the government mandated maximum number of rat feces allowed in a chocolate bar.
Well, but don't you know that's just building up your immunity?
I'm not going to argue with that. I'm just saying I understand that the government allows feces to get eaten. So,
yeah, what's a little bit of tularemia between friends?
As long as you're not toxic.
Let's see. Oh wait, no, this is going to be stage magic. Not interested in that. Wait, oh my! Wait, what?
starting the day on your right foot or tying a red bracelet 7 times around your wrist. Just some of the good luck charms recommended by the Kabbalah, a discipline of Jewish mysticism. This exhibition in Jerusalem is exploring the traditions of this ancient magic. It may date back over 2,000 years, but today's practitioners say it is thriving and still relevant.
The main issue is human needs. People need things. People need love, people need security, people need safety, people need health. And this is the main trigger, this is the main motor behind the growth of magic and behind the growth of the Jewish magical tradition.
Kabbalah is certainly still revered by many in Israel. On Thursdays at midnight, purists can be found huddled in caves around a rabbi. Until daybreak, they study secrets of the Zohar, Kabbalah's sacred book. However, there are now more accessible, user-friendly forms of this esoteric knowledge to suit the modern world. Applied Kabbalah centers now flourish, where charms and plant extracts are prescribed to solve disputes in love and life.
When somebody comes to me with a particular problem, first I open the book of Zohar, look for their name, birth date, and mother's name. Then I go to the source of the problem and then find a solution for it.
This booming trade is tolerated within the Jewish religion. Only so-called black magic is condemned. In 1995 and 2006, ultranationalists boasted of having used Kabbalah against Yitzhak Rabin and Ariel Sharon, prime ministers they considered traitors.
In this case, we can see how magic was a part of a campaign of legitimation of violence against other Jews, and this is something that I fear might happen again.
Black or white, the business of magic has become a money spinner in Israel. The cost, though, may be its aura of mystery, as Kabbalah moves out of the shadows and onto the high street.
What on earth was that? What was he throwing on the fire? It looked like some sort of like rock.
Out of the Israel. The cost, though, may be...
Any idea?
I was going to say, my thought is, aren't those like scraps of paper that he's trying to...
Magic has become a money spinner in Israel. The cost, though, may be its aura of mystery.
No, because it looks
Kabbalah
like
moves out of the shadows and onto the high street.
But you might be right.
That's paper, then he put something else on top of it.
Magic has become a money spinner in Israel. The cost, though, may be its aura of mystery, as Kabbalah moves out of the shadows and onto the high street.
Interesting. So, Halsey said, there's also a connection between the idea of witches and the large cauldron of a beer brewer, especially female beer brewers, who are accused of witchcraft and were told has to be able to be seen at the crowded marketplace, and often had cats to deal with pets associated with grain storage. Wow. Usal said, never heard that, Kaiju. So Kaiju said men were jealous they were successful and had them killed or discredited with the idea of witchcraft. Wow. Yeah, do a Google do a Google search for women brewers witches beer and see what comes up. First one is from Smithsonian. Wow.
And again, one of the places that I've heard the witch's cauldron come in is more of the Celtic cauldron, like the Dagda's cauldron, and a lot of those up there.
Let's see. Ooh, what's this? Not gonna lie, not the biggest fan of Arizona, even though I live here. But hey, I mean, I feel a little bit of pride when I see something that's close to me, even though it's kind of like, meh. I mean, it's Arizona is a nice place, but it's just a lot of desert, and like, you know, some people like the desert. I like the desert too, but it can feel a bit suffocating sometimes. Well, that's
the Torah resembles a beautiful woman who is hidden in a secluded chamber of her palace and who has a secret lover. When he comes to her, she begins from behind a curtain to speak words in keeping with his understanding until very slowly insight comes to him. Only when he has become familiar with her does she reveal herself to him face to face and speak to him of all her hidden secrets and all her hidden ways, which have been in her heart from the beginning. Such an individual is then called Chatan Torah, a bridegroom of the Torah, to whom she discloses all her secrets, concealing nothing. What do you make of this?
The sexual metaphor comes in of bride and bridegroom to say that it has approached the outer limit of intimacy and together.
It's a sexual. It's more than a sexual metaphor. It's even more than that. He's comparing the Torah to a flirtatious woman. Well, I grew up in Cincinnati, Ohio, actually as part of a very Orthodox family. So my exposure to Judaism was very traditional. As a late teenager, I attended Hebrew-speaking camps where we did everything in Hebrew. When I was 19, I enlisted in the Army. And while stationed in France, I decided to make. When I was 19, I enlisted in the Army. And when I was 19, I enlisted in the Army. And while stationed in France, I decided to make my first visit to Israel. And so we're on this boat about to enter Israel at dawn on a given day. And I remembered a prayer that I had learned when I was a kid. Baruch atah Adonai hamachazir shechinato l'tzion. Blessed are you, O God, who renewest your presence in Zion. Baruch atah Adonai hamachazir shechinato l'tzion. Blessed are you, O God, who renewest your presence in Zion. Tears came to my eyes.
Wow, yeah,
because
not tall.
what I had prayed was now actualized. The reality of Israel, historically, biblically, contemporaneously, was no of Israel, historically.
It looks like they're wearing sunglasses. You see that crowd?
Contemporaneously.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, it's just so funny. It's like, we're wearing shades in the desert because it's so bright. Also, look what
Their
they're
future's so bright, they got to wear shades.
Also, look, the people in red are carrying staffs. Almost looks like acacia.
The other thought to me is seraphim, bronze serpents through the desert too.
Well, but I mean, no, they're pallbearers. They're carrying the chuppah over the Ark of the Covenant.
Oh, okay.
Biblically, contemporaneously, was no longer theoretical. It was experiential. And once something is experiential, it's unforgettable. If there was any experience that overwhelmed me and moved me to become a rabbi, it was that. I became more interested in aspects of the Jewish faith, etc., that were not Orthodox, and ultimately made a decision to become a Reform rabbi. Reform engages in the most liberal interpretation of the Jewish tradition, Jewish practice, Jewish rituals, etc. For me, it was the most expressive way of doing what I wanted to do. It was the most open. When I worked for our national reform movement, it was my responsibility to run 2 summer adult study programs. And among the faculty were 2 professors, and they taught mysticism. And I said, wow, Where have I been all my life? It became part of my been all them. And I said, wow, where have I been all my life? And I said, wow, where have I been all my life? It became part of my very being. And when the opportunity came to teach it here in Tucson, first at Temple Emmanuel, and then at the Jewish Museum, I really jumped at the opportunity. This is what the book looks like. So some of you are panicking right now and saying, oi, does this mean I have to buy this book and figure it all out? A lot of people are under the misapprehension that Kabbalah refers to a book. It does not. The word Kabbalah literally means to accept or to welcome, to become a part of. The Kabbalists, they said, we have found the ways and means to understand the divine and to experience God regularly, daily. Now, the word Zohar means radiance, and this is the book of radiance, this compendia of material edited in the 13th century. And so if you immerse yourself in this compendium, you will become radiant. Because Zohar Harakia, you will shine like the radiance of the sky. So that's how it all came about. I want to see something real. And Judaism doesn't give me that particular revelation. And that is one of the basic reasons, as we shall see, why the Kabbalists came up with what they did. Tucson may be the only place in the United States where courses in Zohar are taught by rabbis under synagogue auspices. I get into the material, and I like to convey that excitement and meaning to those in the class. If we were reading the telephone book, I would get excited. Look at this name, John Smith. That's a marvelous name, John Smith. Somehow, as a teacher, that's the way I teach. I hope that it will transform their lives in ways that they could not have imagined. The knowledgeable will be as radiant as the brightness of the firmament. So the Kabbalists, because they studied the Zohar, the book of radiance, became as illuminated as the beauty of the heavens. And so all of you, hopefully, all of you, by virtue of entering the mysterious, hello, goodbye, by entering the mysterious world of the Zohar, will become as radiant as the firmament of would I consider myself a mystic? It's an interesting question. I would consider myself a mystic to the extent that I believe that there is another dimension of reality above and beyond what we see in front of us. When you pick up a baby, you inhale the fragrance, and that's the best word that I can use, the fragrance of that infant. It's transformative. I would call that a mystical experience. Religion, to be really profound and meaningful, has to encompass the emotional. It cannot, the intellectual is there, and the intellectual is important, but you have to transcend it.
unless you are really emotionally involved, it loses its power.
Interesting how his exposure to Kabbalah, basically had him get in touch with his, Judaic roots.
Oh, I mean, like, you have to keep in mind he was already a rabbi by this point.
He doesn't make it sound like he was, he makes it sound like there was a huge transition.
Oh, definitely, but I think that's a key point. You don't to just because one is, a rabbi, doesn't mean that they're going to be, so spiritually involved. It might just be about, fulfilling the role. Then you have other people who might be the complete opposite, like where, for them it's all about the connection. Yeah, they might not even be a rabbi.
Hello. Oh, hello. Whew. Sorry I'm in a bit of a tizzy. I was just scolding some of the plants for spitting and nipping. I suppose it's my own fault for putting more than 4 to a tray. By the way, Beatrice Green is the name, but you may address me as Madam Green. Welcome to Dogweed and Deathcap. Oh, mind you don't knock the mandrakes. Oh, if there wasn't the constant demand for antidotes, I wouldn't need to stock so many of the little dears. Except, of course, for curses. And, well, if you've been petrified, then obviously you've come to the right place. Mind you don't knock the mandrakes. Or if there's an uprooting, you'll be the next one to drop dead, and I'm in no mood for a clear-up. Someone died? Aye. Fortunately, but it was just the one. Now then, how may I help you today? I think I'll just have a look around for now. Very well. Let me know if you see anything you like. What do you have for sale? Well, let's say we show you some of what's available. Oh, I'm always thrilled when a young one makes a wise purchase. I can tell you'll go far. But your things will be safe with me until they're sold. Then you'll have to make do with money. Doors always open. You be sure to stop by soon.
Yeah, so Graham, what are some of the takeaways from that video that you got?
Well, one of the big ones was that whole shining like the Zohar kind of thing, which is a recurring theme with the righteous and the shining people. Again, his phone ringing was hilarious in the middle of the thing, but yeah, that
Yeah,
neither here nor there.
That was too good.
Yeah, and I appreciate him throwing that in there. Again, Zohar, it's been decades since I've done any sort of deep look at that one. I don't know, does Guide to the Perplexed by Maimonides actually fit in Kabbalah, or is that sort of in its own category?
No. It's more like Aristotelian Platonic thought. Alright, here, check this out. Okay, I look kind of ridiculous. Let me make myself look presentable. All right. Here we go.
Good of you to come. My friend, Professor Fig, speaks highly of you and your resourcefulness. He was vague as to details, but mentioned your having tracked down a difficult-to-find book. I wondered if you'd be willing to do a little detective work on my behalf.
That depends. Sounds intriguing.
Of course, Mr. Ravana. Sounds most up my street. Wonderful. You see, about a century ago, an heirloom applewood wand with a fairy wing core went missing from. My great aunt suspected a student named Richard Jackdaw. He was an assistant here and suddenly vanished. Richard Jackdaw, like the bird. In fact, he was known to frequent. We did find a series of statues similar to jackdaws, and certainly they're a clue, but I cannot figure out where they lead. Jackdaw was last heard tittering about some pages with a map he'd stolen from Felix. As you can imagine, the poltergeist was less than helpful. Is there anything special about the one? Oh yes, it's terribly special, but not in the way you might think. It won't grant special powers to the caster, no, nothing like that. But it will ease the hearts and minds of the Ollivanders to know of its return, and that power is immeasurable. Surely you could continue searching the outlet. One would think. However, the headmaster does not take kindly to an old wand-maker loitering about the place. Can't say I blame him. Also, I had perhaps been looking for too long. I feel a fresh set of eyes and a bright mind like yours is sure to solve this riddle. Why would you have taken the wand? I must admit I had no idea. From what I can gather, he fancied himself an adventurer of sorts, always looking for trouble. In fact, after he went missing, rumour had it his ghost was seen in Hogsmeade. Never heard much about him after that, but it seems as if his adventurous spirit may have got the better of him. Perhaps he thought that the wand had some special power simply because of its esteemed lineage. Astonishing how misunderstood the art of wand making is. I'll have a look for you. You certainly give me plenty to go on. Oh, you've brought hope to this old wand maker's heart. Professor.
That weird thing by the door is kind of freaking me out. This thing.
It's like the doorbell, isn't it?
There's some Ollivander workmanship in action.
Since 382 BC. Sure. Oh, sweet, I can put on a new hat now. Oh my god, I'm gonna look absolutely ridiculous. Yeah, I look absolutely ridiculous.
shall we? That is no way to earn my favor.
Graham?
Nothing like finding just the right thing, is there? Let me know if there's anything else I can do to help. Let me know if there's anything else I can do to help. Revelio.
Where do I have to go for this? Yeah, no, this is my own music.
בוכרה היפה זו עירי ברוכת השמש, חרב המשפט שלופה, חרב המשפט. בשערי העיר האמת תצוף כשמן, והידד לו לאמיר הידד. שני אחים רבים אודות אסיר, האמיר את ראש שניהם
Probably smells like
והסיר
bird shit in here.
האמיר. אזרחים בצופנה בשיר, כי אמת בצדק משפטו של האמיר. אזרחים בצופנה בשיר, כי אמת בצדק משפטו של האמיר. אזרחים בצופנה בשיר, כי אמת בצדק משפטו של האמיר. אזרחים בצופנה בשיר, כי אמת בצדק משפטו של האמיר. כשלו במעונו ובחדריו אין נחת, אלף יש בהרמונו וחייו קשים. אך מוכן הוא על עצמו עוד 2000 ראש לקחת, כי אוהב הוא את עמו בעיקר נשים. יום אחד ערב את ראש האב ואת בת בניו לקח אליו, בל תשבו לאום ללחץ רעב. אזרחים בצפונה בשיר, כי אמת בצדק משפטו של האמיר. אזרחים בצפונה בשיר, כי אמת בצדק משפטו של האמיר. אזרחים בצפונה בשיר, כי אמת בצדק משפטו של האמיר. אזרחים בצפונה בשיר, כי אמת בצדק משפטו של האמיר. אזרחים בצפונה בשיר, כי אמת בצדק משפטו של האמיר. אזרחים בצפונה בשיר, כי אמת בצדק משפטו של האמיר. וחיטטו חרבותם לעיתים בחניתותיהם למזמרות.
I had no idea the boomerang was a traditional Jewish weapon.
Oh, is it?
I didn't know. I'm not saying it's not, just saying I didn't know.
This is oddly satisfying. Oof. Being hit in the head by the ship. Cool.
וחיטטו חרבותם לעיתים בחניתותיהם למזמרות. וחיטטו חרבותם לעיתים בחניתותיהם למזמרות. לא יישא גוי אל גוי חרב, ולא ילמדו עוד מלחמה. לא יישא גוי אל גוי חרב, ולא ילמדו עוד מלחמה.
Oh, how did I not see it before? What? What's going on? What did I do?
ملحمة לא יסגו ילגו יחרב ולא ילמדו עוד מלחמה ולא ילמדו עוד
At your service. The Richard Jackson. So Mr. Ollivander was right. She wants his family wand back. Goodness. I'd forgotten about that wand. I assure you I don't have it on me. I'm almost certain I dropped it the moment I was beheaded in that cave. Oh, it was sheer folly to follow that map.
Yeah, trust me, this would not fly within, you know, like religious Jewish
But that's
context.
a story for another day. So you stole a wand.
I think they recently made some like game where you play as Jesus Christ or something, but I don't know about anything other than
Used to
that.
such absurdity. But yes. Why do you care about some old wand? I don't really. Ollivander does.
Hey, don't speak about someone's old wand. That's a bit personal.
Indeed. Say, here's an idea. Why don't you meet me at the edge of the Forbidden Forest?
Yeah, that doesn't sound like a creepy idea at all. How you get the chop chop?
How you died, but who did it to you? I was having a look about when I suddenly sensed a refreshing breeze, after which I felt, well, lightheaded. That's all I remember.
Oh,
Hence,
but
if
bumped.
you do visit the cave, be prepared. I can't tell you what
No,
to
goes to be that fun.
He's a deceptive sort. Beware a light breeze.
Is that how you say that it smells like shit in there?
Why would you steal Mr. Ollivander's family wand? The family were always going on about how special it was, so I took it. Who could resist? Sadly, it wasn't special enough to save my neck. I fully intended to return it once I learned it was only special for sentimental reasons, but as you can see, I never got the chance.
Boo-hoo.
How is it possible to steal from Peeves? Poltergeist. I didn't steal the pages from his ghostly form. I merely found them in his wake of destruction. He's got a penchant for wrecking things. Books, bottles, suits of armor, whatever's likely to cause the most chaos. I doubt he even noticed they were gone. If that's the only way for me to get those pages, I'll meet you there. If you don't mind the sight of my decapitated skeleton, the wand and the pages are yours for the taking.
Well, someone's a bit full of themselves, aren't they?
Is the bird familiar, or is just the bird sitting there?
What?
Is that bird familiar, or is just the bird sitting there?
No, it's just sitting there. Oof, that was close.
That's the shortcut now.
זקוף קומה, המלך היציב, אלי תחתית נבוא נשמתנו להשיב. אוי אדון הארץ, בן רקיע ואחר, הלל למלך הרצוח, הרבוע בנבוא. מוענו מלכנו, הרב לעיקרי, השב מן המתים, יהוא תהיה אור ירים. נגיל ונדון על אוסף חסדיך, שלם ורב אתה מאוסף חלקיך. תייצב בפני שופט, ליבי המס תשקול, על מאזנינו צת מופת, ואם חיי וחטאי כבדו לנוכח מוות, רחמי אהובתך זכור, פניך בירוק טובה. חמד החי בנו, חמול נשמת מנחה, חסד החיות גמלת, לכפר
ארץ זבת חלב, חלב ודבש, 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 ארץ זבת חלב, חלב ודבש,
Oh shit, that scared the hell out of me.
What was that?
Oh, that scared the shit out. Oh, there's this one guy who was like in a streak of fire or whatever, but let's see how am I going to... Okay, this guy's by himself, so I might be able to go down and disable him. Suck it. And now you're fading away. Wait, where are they? Oh, they're all the way over in the forest.
You're a little soft and say trigger. You're a slippery little shrike. Nothing more than luck.
Oh shit. Oh fuck. Oh yeah.
At least it's safe now.
Woo woo. Were there any beasts here, or were they just hanging out in the woods? Huh. That's disconcerting. They were right by where students walk by.
I hate to tag out on here, Ariel. I am dragging and I'm about to fall asleep on you, and I do not want to start snoring on you.
No worries. Have a good night. I'll see you next time.
Absolutely. It was fun as always. Look forward to the next time. Bye-bye.
Take care.
Could it be Mother Child?
That was easy. Oh, it's a chuppah. Yeah, da 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 da. Yeah, da da da. Who's getting married? Wait, is this Merlin? Merlin? Mama Merlin? Huh? Wait, what? You're just disappeared. Oh no, it's here. Is this literally it? This is all that was now. Seriously?
Revelio.
See, what do I have to do for this? Oh, dodge rolling. Come here, you bloody bastards. Gets me bloody ass. You can't touch me, I'm the bloody fuck. I'm the gingerbread man. Uh-oh. Oh, this is too much fun. Oh, shit.
Revelio.
Fight me. Where are you? Oh, shit. Now I gotta be more careful about this.
In the forest. It escaped, but still.
Let's see.
Revelio.
Ages since I found a ticket for a crackpot. I would say that our hair is not appropriately named. Am I supposed to be all right to have your fun? Let yourself do a little song and say the truth.
No, no. It's shameful what you've done to helpless beasts.
It truly is.
Revelio. I don't think I'm ready for this just yet. Revelio. Ajax is simply too many. Revelio. Incendio. Revelio. 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 What do you have in store for me this time? Revelio. Accio. Revelio. Lumos. Self will be proud. Revelio. 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 Lumos.
Oof, just got like a chill.
Revelio. Revelio. looks like the portrait from the map. Where's the treasure? What's a doorway hidden within the portrait? I wonder what came with all the search. Revelio. Lumos. Revelio. Lumos. Revelio. You wanted to speak with me?
I did. Hello, I'm Duncan Hophouse. Pleasure to meet you. I've heard all about you, of course, confronting trolls and dragons.
I suppose it must seem that way. I'm not sure it's justified. It's often been a matter of circumstance.
I'm going to presume your reputation is in fact warranted, in which case you are precisely the person I need.
That's right now.
We have a very interesting online question.
Yes.
Eli in Tom's River wants to know. He sent in a whole quote here. Somebody in Israel posted a question online, not here, to a discussion forum in Israel, describing their experience having gone to a makubal, a Kabbalist, for a blessing to have a child. And they had to guarantee certain amounts of money if the wife gets pregnant, certain amount of money if they actually have a child, and they has to be the sandik, the makubal has to be the sandik at the bris. And they got a very bad feeling after their 5-minute meeting with the rabbi, with the makubal. The rabbi who they asked the question to responded that people should stop going to mekubalim and should start praying to God instead. They wouldn't know what Rabbi Mintz thinks about this.
Well, I agree with that rabbi. Basically, today, people are doing all kinds of things. We're being bombarded in the mail with all kinds of different offers of promises of doing this and doing that and giving money to this.
What separates religion from magic? How is the Jewish world connected to magic? And why did certain prayers become linked to protective rituals? A new exhibition at the Israel Museum in Jerusalem tries to answer these questions by honing in on the Shema, a Jewish prayer that has been recited for millennia. The Shema adorns the doorposts of Jewish homes, and it's also recited several times a day, including before going to sleep. The Shema is one of the most important prayers in Judaism. It comes from the Bible, from the Old Testament, specifically from the book of Deuteronomy. Titled, Hear, O Israel, the Magic of the Shema, the exhibition shows that this prayer was also incorporated into Jewish amulets since ancient times. This tiny gold plate dates back to the 3rd century CE. According to Nancy Benovitz, one of the curators, it's the earliest known instance of the Shema used in a Jewish amulet.
Amulet from Austria is inscribed on a tiny little piece of a 2 centimeter piece of gold plate, and it has the first verse of the Shema in Hebrew but in Greek letters, and it was rolled up and put in a little case.
Another treasure, this silver armband from the 6th or 7th century, inscribed with the first 2 paragraphs of the Shema in Greek.
Angels are part of the Jewish world. Miracles are part of the Jewish world. It's just the word magic that throws people off. But really, it's very much part of our culture, and it's part of the rabbinic culture. And there's magic in the Talmud, and there's magic in all sorts of Jewish contexts.
The amulets, charms, and spells on display were intended to protect from ill health or misfortune. A fascinating series of 1,500-year-old rare magic pottery bowls from Iraq reflect a curious magical practice that was once used by both Jews and non-Jews alike in Babylonia. At the center of the bowls are drawings of strange figures, demons, apparently.
And they're actually traps, magic traps for demons. It's a specific thing that exists only in Babylonia between the 5th and the 7th century CE, mostly written in Aramaic. The spells within the bowls contain, in many cases, the Shema.
At the end of the exhibition is a display of tefillin and mezuzot, ritual objects that are required by Jewish law. Both also contain scrolls with the words of the Shema.
Mezuzot and tefillin have been attributed with protective powers. So our big question, and the real basic question behind the exhibition is, are tefillin and mezuzot amulets? And moreover, are tefillin and mezuzot amulets? And moreover, what's the difference between religion and magic? Can you really draw a line between them?
Hear, O Israel, the magic of the Shema, will remain open until April of next year. From the Israel Museum in Jerusalem, Maya Margit reporting for the Media Line.
What's the connection between magic and the Torah?
The connection, well, depends what type of magic. What do you call it? What is magic?
Black magic.
Real magic or just a magician
magic.
today? Real magic. The connection is the Torah says outlaws it. You're not supposed to do it. That's the connection. That because it usually comes from sources that are considered tumah. So it's not the opposite of pure. They're considered unclean, and not unclean in a physical sense, in a spiritual sense of this God made holiness and non-holiness in this world. Something like we said in our whole talk tonight, two opposites, and both have powers. The holiness has powers, and such thing as magic powers that come from unholy sources. So we are not allowed to use those unholy sources to accomplish anything. We're supposed to only go with the Torah, with the pure and the holy sources that God wants us to, and not connect ourselves to the tumah of the unclean and unholy sources. Tumah of the unclean and unholy sources.
Who can I call?
I'm very pleased to be here with Rabbi Arthur Kurzweil, world-renowned author, editor, publisher, Kabbalist, illusionist, and teacher. And I thought this would be a wonderful opportunity to ask a few questions of Rabbi Kurzweil and get his perspective on from some of his from his very illustrious career. So to start with, because when you were at Aronson Publishers, for example, I know you published over 650 books. How has Jewish publishing evolved over the last, from his very illustrious career? So to start with, because when you were at Aronson Publishers, for example, I know you published over 650 books. How has you were at Aronson Publishers, for example, I know you published over 650 books. How has Jewish publishing evolved over the last few decades?
I think that the most important development in Jewish publishing and publishing in general is the opportunity for people to publish their own books. Self-publishing. It's called print on demand, where you can print one book at a time and you don't have to go to a publisher to publish it. Now there are lots of junky books that get published because of that, but in any specialized field, there are so many worthy manuscripts that a publisher wouldn't begin to think of publishing because the market is so limited. So today, when we can go to any number of companies that will do this print-on-demand procedure, where you literally publish a book at a time, and there isn't a tremendous investment in inventory and warehousing and so forth. In every field, and in Judaica in particular, for my interest and yours, there are so many books that otherwise we wouldn't see because publishers wouldn't invest in them. And one can go to a website like Amazon.com or many others and find books on the most specialized subjects that for some of us are not so specialized. They're what we live for. So more books are being published all the time. More books are being published today than ever before. Even though there are less and less bookstores, there are literally more and more books being published all of the time. And for me, that's terrific.
Fascinating. So you're the first rabbi I've met who is renowned in illusion and magic. I wonder if you could share some Jewish perspectives on that.
I think that one of the things about magic, and we're really talking about magic tricks, that I find so compelling is that magic tricks are obviously just tricks. So when you're looking at a magic show or watching somebody perform a trick, really you have to basically look at it and not be persuaded by the surface, but to go inside it. From the outside, so many of these tricks look like amazing, impossible things to have occurred. So the person who wants to think through just how does this trick work has to not be distracted by the surface, but train themselves to go inside. When my children were little, whenever I would learn and master a new trick, I would show it to them, and they would be dazzled by it. And then they would say, "Abba, how did you do that?" And I said, "Well, I'll tell you, but first let's think it through. How could it have been done? Let's try to eliminate what couldn't have been done. If I have a card here and suddenly it appears across the room, I don't have the power to make cards go across the room. If I did, I wouldn't be a magician. I would be the leader of the world. But if since it's not possible to have a card disappear and appear on the other side of the room, what could it possibly be? Of course, one thing is that I hid the card over there before the show. So my children had to think it through, and more often than not, they were able to figure it out by process of elimination. It was a very good way for them to use their mind and to work it out, like a gymnasium, but a gymnasium of the mind. So I could talk about magic forever, but I think that, again, just to reiterate, one of the special things about looking at magic tricks is learning not to be fooled by surfaces. When you get involved with magic tricks, you never look at a television commercial the same way again, because you see what's behind the message. That's a little bit of a distortion sometimes, or a little bit of an exaggeration sometimes, and you have to, what are they really selling and what are they really telling you? So I think, just to give one example, that is something about magic and optical illusions that I find compelling.
Seeing beyond the surface is a perfect segue into Kabbalah. In addition to being a teacher and writer about Talmud and Jewish values, you're also a teacher and writer, of course, of Kabbalah. And what
Here, we can always finish this up in a bit. I'm just going to play a bit more. And probably take another dab, and then we can finish up that video when I'm taking up in the last dab, and then probably head to sleep. Because I've got slime. And I'll actually quit some stuff tomorrow. See.
Professor, do you have a moment?
I do. What?
I wondered, did you attend Hogwarts?
I did. I am a proud member of Ravenclaw House, like you. Why do you ask?
I was curious as to how Hogwarts has changed over the years.
I see. Well, the castle itself, as I'm sure you have surmised, is full of surprises. I dare say more than the staircases change around here. As for the students, well, they seem to get more capable every year. Although we got up to just as much mischief in my day as you seem to now. I used to look the other way at all sorts of roguery when I was head girl. I can tell you, however, that I did once admonish a certain Phineas Nigella's Black for enjoying a sugar quill during a lecture.
I hadn't realised that you and Professor Black were students here together.
Appearances.
Oh, very, very topical.
I was once wounded by time itself.
Time its very self. Oh.
Time itself? I never would have imagined such a thing.
Ah, well, it was the risk I took with my prior position. You may or may not have heard, but I was an unspeakable.
Oh, can you tell me what you did?
Unspeakable? What?
As you might suspect, I cannot speak about what we did. Suffice it to say, the job was not without its hazards. I hope I've satisfied your curiosity for the moment.
You have. Thank you for speaking with me, Professor.
Keep up with your work. One must always be prepared for mischief, both inside and outside of the castle. Still at it, I see.
Yeah, I'm more interested in the academic study. This is, I don't give a preference.
Hey.
Hey.
So you do the whole study of magic, so you're not really like a practitioner looking into it. And the whole magic on that was a play off the song "Do You Believe in Magic in a Young Girl's Heart." I just saw the title and I was just like, yeah, sorry.
No worries. But yeah, I'm probably about to finish up the stream. But yeah, I mean, in general, I'm just, yeah, I mean, really, the study of that started getting interested in that after you started to have more of this general increase in interest in the occult that kind of started maybe around like 2018, 2019 or so. I don't know, I wasn't really paying attention when the revival started, but one thing that I did notice is a lot of ideas that have been appropriated from different cultures and have just kind of been thrown into this mix without any sort of accreditation or any sort of context. That's been a big reason why I've wanted to actually study like where these ideas come from, so be able to see when people are bullshitting versus when people are actually talking about tradition.
Genuine magic or
Yeah.
something like that.
Exactly.
So you're one of those who would say that there is definite magic within the old text, right? Like I mean that is like the Old Testament, pretty much.
I wouldn't limit it to that, but yeah, within a bunch of, well, and not even just that. I mean, at the end of the day, what is this idea of magic? It's just, it comes from the root, I mean, it's complicated, but it has connections to both this idea of, magi as this religion, but also the idea of imagery, and that it, people have these very, I mean, maybe mystical isn't even the word, but like supernatural ideas of what magic is, as opposed to it being like something that's just inherently natural.
Interesting. All
So,
right.
like, for instance, like the idea that you can shoot stuff out of a wand, I think that's a complete red herring.
You don't think that's accurate to a certain, like it isn't accurate? to that degree. That, like, in a sense, no spell is going to come out of wand, but they are used in a sense for channeling. You
Yeah,
get
but
what I'm saying?
again, like, yeah, but I think that it's one of those things that can take on this, like a life of its own. But it literally, I mean, also depends on what context you're talking about, because, um, like, the role that like magic wands have taken on, as opposed to something like a staff, that has a lot to do, from what I understand, with like with the tarot and the magician card originally. The At least the where some of these motifs are getting used from. I mean, it's not even specific to this one use of it, but apparently, in the was it Jean Noble de Jean Noble de Marseille tarot deck. It depicts the magician, but rather than holding a what's the word? Rather than holding a wand, he's actually holding. I think it would be wrong to say that it's dismembered. It's more so just supposed to be representative of, but basically a circumcised penis. And it's actually thought that some of these early tarot decks might have actually been used by crypto Jews in order to secretly teach about Judaism without having anything written, like, in basically where everything was just artistic interpretation. And if you it also in a way where people wouldn't really understand the stuff unless they knew the stories, and it has a lot to do with the way that the stories were told, more than just the stories that happen to be shared between Jews and Christians.
Do you think that there's a limited amount of like practicing magic that we have today rather than like 2,000 years ago?
I mean, I think it's just changed. Like, I mean, it's kind of like, oh wait, what the heck is this? I mean, I honestly don't see that much of a difference between something like, I mean, given it is different, but um, I mean, think about how. Oh shit! What the heck? Um, so I mean, there's definitely some parallels between stuff like advertising and magic, because again goes to this whole idea of imagery. But sorry, I'm also trying to multitask.
Oh, you're good. I would say out myself, I'm just like a student and a kind of practitioner. I've come to study that it's not new magic, but it's old magic. And the sense is through spoken word, and the big three arts in the sense of visualizations, um, and then music, and then the third one's vocal. I said vocal already, so I didn't want to get confused. But yeah, those are the three big ones that I've noticed that um, seem to be involved with pure magic. Uh, Definitely the imagery one, like in a sense with art. Then the second one's music, and then the third one's the spoken. I think, like actually speaking into stuff, cantation, and it follows throughs with the music aspect as well. Uh, so that's as far as my knowledge has come when it comes to like practical magic, and I came to that conclusion when it's like kind of like a Pied Piperism in the sense, like how in that story the music that the piper would like charm every the kids to get out of the valley and all that shit, right? So if music can be used as an influence, and that's like a uh what do you call it type of story, a uh child horror, I forgot the name of this, what they're called, but like a warning story for kids to like watch out for people or whatever, I forget what they're called, then perhaps there's some element of truth into not necessarily the whole context, but what is being said. This game has decent graphics. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah. Oh, holy crap!
What the hell? I want to play this now.
This reminds me of the pyramid part, or like the Great Pyramids in Assassin's Creed.
Oh, I don't think I played that version yet. I stopped at which Assassin's Creed? I can't remember. Syndicate, I think.
There actually is. I mean, so. Oh shit. Oh. There is this one motif that definitely has been utilized in a lot of recent video games, which is kind of concerning. How you do have, and I mean, it's like on one level, I think people could look at it. It's like, oh, it's not this. Like I don't think it's necessarily. Actually, I'm almost certain it's not like this deliberate agenda, but you do have you have these. I mean, it's not just game developers. You have this really with every sort of developer. Every now and then, you'll have a quirky person who decides to basically try and start encoding shit within their, whether it's a product or a piece of art, because they start taking themselves really seriously, or so I'm specifically referring to, I think his name's Michael Levine, and he was involved in, I think, Assassin's Creed and the soundtrack. Oh, shit. Is this... Oh, I thought there was...
I'm
Oh,
sorry,
okay.
that's like super impractical. Why are you just gonna use? You could push that over, you fucking lazy fuck. Like I'm just, the game mechanic. Like just push it with your hands. Why do you need magic to lift it? Like that's just lazy magic magicians. I'm sorry.
Oh, I wonder.
Like if this. Go ahead.
I just have no clue what I'm supposed to do with. Like this makes no sense. Oh, that's it.
That's really odd. I just realized they probably won't have necromancy in this game, would they?
Why?
I don't know. Like necromancy was never part of the original storyline, was it? Like to some degree, was it? Like in I don't remember any necessarily necromancy. So I'm trying to remember.
I mean, I'm honestly I don't know a whole lot about Harry Potter, but something about, I think in Fair Eye or whatever, like the things I've been fighting in these catacombs.
And maybe with like dark magic or something.
Yeah, let's see. Here. Oh. Huh. Maybe this? Oh. Oh, shit. Oh.
You can drag them around. That's creepy.
Very. Uh-oh.
Yeah, I started looking into the magical stuff because it's like one of those things like you can't necessarily deny about what's in the text. So it's either you accept it as some source of supernatural stuff that which I think when we say supernatural, that's just our mind's laziness of saying that I don't understand this and it's more it's something that I can't comprehend. So I'm like, I don't necessarily always take that as an answer. So I try to look into it, and yeah, it seems like there's some type of seriousness that was taken by ancient people, revolving around like the demonics, angelics, or I should just say divine. I always think I say demonics, but like divine beings and like undead people roaming around on the earth, and then having certain types of totems or tokens placed around their house and ritualistic things done the changing of people's names so that these things would get confused. Like you just don't do these things on purpose or just for nothing, right? So like either everyone was this in their batshit crazy mode and super gullible, or they were doing this because it was an actual fear. Like there's something behind it. And that's the way I've kind of taken the perception. And like even there's some, in a sense, magical elements within the New Testament. Like for example, where um they're at the hotel at the not to mention all the miracles and whatnot, but like that's not directly coming from Jesus. You have the they're at the hotel and they're like, shall we call forth fire from the heavens to because they didn't accept us. And it's like, well, if that's not magic, calling forth fire from the heavens, I don't know what is, right? You're just gonna call forth fire, like how, right? um so it's things like that that we see, at least that I see, that leads like there's still some type of magic that even the disciples knew about. Obviously, if they can call forth fire from heaven. So I think that's like in a difference between being a lay person in a faith versus like a direct like disciple, and now you know the privy stuff because you've proven your stupid worth or whatever it is. Would you have it? And that's just a guess. I can't even say if that's accurate or not to any degree of percentage, like a 10% true or whatnot. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I
It's
mean,
crazy.
I think a big part of that just can't be ignored though is the use of different plants that we would now see as drugs, and I mean the types of experiences that people have on that versus normal waking states of mind,
Yeah.
completely different. So like I don't think it's necessarily all one or the other, but like even if these are just like psychological concepts, it's still clear that they were maybe integrating these things better than we are today because we just kind of shove these things in holes in our minds until they eventually get so bad that we can't ignore it.
Plus, there's also limitations, I think, on certain like knowledges. Is like I'll give an example. Like in Skyrim, that like when you're doing ingredient making for whatever, they have like certain abilities, what they can and cannot do, like cause and effect. Like this will do this to you if you do this. Kind of like how we know like certain medicines will take away pain, and like how the mint plant makes things cold for us, gives us that cold thing. Um, so the more we find out like common knowledge about that type of stuff is probably how we can practically use it in that magical sense. It's just that people don't necessarily know. I would say maybe herbologists have a better chance. Like if they actually know that stuff, like if you ingest this is what it will do to you, if it will do nothing at all, you know?
Yeah.
But that's my take on it, is like actually knowing a true thing and what it can do and do is the difference between like just playing at games and actually doing shit. Like again, because pharmacy obviously they're doing something there, right? Those little pills aren't just there, like that's one thing that always gets me is that shit.
I have no clue what I'm supposed to do here. And I'm basically stuck. Alright, right here. Wait. Seems like it should be far enough to maybe if I Oh, come on. It feels like a surfboard or something.
Right? What type of magic is this? Right? Do what I want.
Okay, let's see. Oh. Maybe it's gotta be something with that. Unless Huh. Oh, I'm an idiot.
Have you ever came across any actual like proclaimed magicians or shit like that?
What do you mean?
Like people who claim to be magicians, like in the
Yeah.
magic sense. There's one dude I know, yeah. Now, like I said, I'm more like a study looking for like a actual practitioner, which is hard to find because mostly it's just like off, not to be offensive, but like off people with their own set of personal magic. It's not true magic, if you get what I'm saying. Like for me, like Christianity might have a true sense of magic, even though there's like a whatchamacallit, a call against certain types of magic that you're not supposed to do. It doesn't necessarily mean all magic is bad, just certain types. Like a like and that's hard to understand even within itself. So that's kind of like what I'm looking for, pure magic, but that just sounds like woo shit anyway when I try to explain it, because yeah.
You have to be really careful, though. There's some really dangerous people out there.
Oh, I bet.
Okay, I think I'm officially stuck in this hole.
I don't know. I think if any like magical rich person would want to waste their time on someone like me, they really have mental problems. So I like that would be probably a saving grace for me. It'd probably be like the perfect storyline NG. Like you get killed by an actual magician. Okay, cool. Right? Like that'd be like, oh, fine by me by any case of the sense. Like if they're really gonna go after little old me, then they have they're fucked up in the head to begin with. There's nothing that was gonna save me from that anyway. Right? That's just their fucking problem at that point.
Yeah, I mean, it's not necessarily so black and white. It's just there's a lot of people who are out there for, one reason or another. And it's kind of like one of those things where generally, if you have people working with magic, even with good intentions, it's going to go south.
Oh, and why? Why is that?
Generally just because of the type of people that it attracts. I think that's probably one of the reasons why you have this idea of secrecy within different, magical groups, because
I get it.
Like it's kind of, it's like there's a reason that when you're dealing with certain types of, energy, that it has to be tightly controlled because, regardless of what it is, if it's high enough power, it can really do damage, whether that's just someone coming in contact with a high capacity wire or, something else. But like, I mean, the other thing is that, yeah, I mean, sometimes you just have it where, is it? Okay, that's a strange noise, but, there's always going to be people who, whether they're in it for personal gain, whether they just kind of get lost in the sauce, or whether they, I mean, it's honestly just one of those things that whenever you're dealing with something that's inherently fringe, you're going to be dealing with inherently fringe people.
So it's like look out for yourself out there. Be warned, you might cross paths with someone you're familiar with. That's actually somewhat comforting. I think it's easier to control crazy people than it is to control normal people in that mindset. Because all you gotta do to crazy people is sound good, and they're like, "Oh, this person sounds good." But that's only if you sound good to them. That's the hard part, knowing whether or not you sound good to them.
The only thing is that there isn't like such a thing as people who are crazy and people who aren't. It's more so how much you are, and
broad term, yeah.
Like it's not a fixed thing.
Yeah.
As good as my word.
All right, let's see.
These again, I suppose I shouldn't be surprised to see you.
All right. Well, I have to go get my kids ready for school. I'll talk to you later. Thanks for the little chat this morning.
All right, take care.
All right, take
Also,
care. You too.
Oh, you want to? Oh,
But I fear I may remain a tad reluctant to revisit the scene of my demise. Keep your eyes open for
Probably like
bird
8 o'clock
dust.
on the East
You can
Coast.
find it, say, intramuros. I think it's Latin or Greek. As you can imagine, I never paid much attention in school. Shall we? Besides the photograph, anything else I should look for? Indeed, a few lamps, stonebridge, a waterfall, and, if I recall, a lake. You'll see. It's been very helpful. Thank you. Surprising how much of this is rather fortunately coming back to me. You know, the closer we get, the more I remember. Best I leave you to it. Simply stick to the path and keep a sharp eye out for that bird bath. Adieu. Is that Latin? It's Greek.
honestly, I'm not sure.
Something of this sort of this place. Such little creatures stars. What is quiet? Revelio. Incendio. to make you pay. If you want, let's pull back around now. See what you want to do. Exactly. These places. Rebecca. How much do you know what this means? I wonder if any of my spells are confused. Touch those. Ugh. Wasn't very thorough in his cave. Left something behind. It's almost complete. Let's find it. Hello, monster. Then your magic like this one is multiplies. Rebecca. Touched chest. It looks very thoroughly.
Yeah, it is. Oh, holy crap, my eyes. It's like I really need to go to sleep. I'm just gonna finish up this mission.
Must be getting closer to chapters for me. Pages.
Uh-oh.
We meet again. Oh. Lenses must be left behind this wall. Pages. Here it is. Is there something beyond this one?
Uh-oh.
Maybe only if this magic protects me until I'm able to make my way out of there. Can it be? Has someone finally found our map chamber? I recognize you from the pensieves. You're Professor Rackham. I am indeed. I must confess that I am surprised to see someone so young standing before me. I'm the same age that you and Isidora Morgan are. Welcome you started at Hogwarts. You've paid attention, and might I presume you share our ability to see traces of ancient magic? Yes, sir, I do. As you have likely realized by now, our ability gives us a unique relationship with all forms of magic. We can access expressions of magic that few others can. Opportunities will arise that allow you to sharpen this rare talent. Do not squander them. I won't, Professor. Thank you. We have much to discuss, but first, a map found in a certain book led you here. Place the book on the pedestal. I don't have the book with me, sir. Must pause our conversation until you return with the book. The statues and carvings in the house on the cliffside, those were you. Are you here? I am. Did you know that I would be here? I cannot say more at present, except to say that your presence here does not entirely surprise me. I'm a bit confused, sir. Why is this book called the Map Chamber? I assure you that all will be clear once the book has been placed on the pedestal. Very well. I'll retrieve the book right away. Good. We shall speak again once the book is in place. came hungry the night my studies were on this plane. Suppose I had enough to distract myself with doing it down to the book. The longer pulse, the vanishing charm, useful for pushing objects or adversaries away. People require tasks and equally impossible.
What do you see as the main contribution that Kabbalah has to offer 20th century Jews today?
Rabbi Adin Steinsaltz, it says that Kabbalah is the theology of the Jewish people. It's the theology of our people. It's not the history, and it's not the customs, and it's not the holidays, and it's not the folkways, and it's not immigration to America, and it's not bagels and lox. It's the theology of our people. So what does Kabbalah contribute to today? Those of us who wake up in the morning and we ask ourselves, who am I? Where did I come from? Where am I going? What is this life all about? What's important and what's not important? Why would God have made a world with so much suffering? These big questions are the questions that Kabbalah responds to. So it's clear to me that Kabbalah is essential to learn. Many people think, Kabbalah is something that you just have to avoid unless you're older and married and steeped in Torah. And Rabbi Steinsaltz and others beside him say, no, we have to learn these things because our young people are leaving Jewish tradition because they're not dealing with the important questions of life. Who am I? What is this life all about? Those are some of the questions that Kabbalah deals with. So it's the eternal wisdom of our people that so often in Hebrew schools and elsewhere they neglect or overlook. Don't realize that our young people and older people need to be able to work some of these questions out. The good news is that our ancestors have been thinking about these profound questions for centuries and centuries and centuries, and they have usually something important and useful to say about these questions.
So my last question for you then is, what are some of those misunderstandings of Kabbalah that you think are percolating out there that have to be named?
interestingly, magic comes into the context of the question, because Kabbalah is not black magic or white magic. It's not learning how to say the right words and then something incredible will happen. It has nothing to do with all of that kind of new age stuff that really is superficial and there's no, you're not gaining superpowers from Kabbalah, and it's really a misunderstanding, and people often think that Kabbalah is some kind of mystical secrets that we know and they don't know, or one person knows and somebody else doesn't know. It's not that way. Kabbalah is deep intellectual and spiritual thinking about the important questions of life. It doesn't have to do with hocus pocus and abracadabra and a lot of the new age concepts that people throw around. I think that I'm excited and I'm privileged to be able to be one of those people who can help to clarify that. And once again, to say to the seeker, young and old, that you don't have to go to other traditions to find profound ideas. You don't have to go to the New Age bookstores to read about other traditions that have talked about love and friendship and evil and suffering. We've dealt with these questions since time immemorial. And if we pay attention to that, we'll see that there's so much nourishment that we can derive from our own tradition. It's not just nonsense, mishigas about quote unquote magical things. I think it's a terrible misrepresentation. Rabbi Steinsaltz says that some of this New Age Kabbalah is to real Kabbalah as pornography is to lovemaking.
Wow.
You know, the lovemaking is real. The pornography is obviously not. And some of the forms of what is Kabbalah is not what Kabbalah is about. It's about, I don't like that, let me say that, I don't like small talk. I like big talk. And Kabbalah is about big talk.
Fascinating. Well, if like me, you're also thirsty for more, I hope you'll pick up some of Rabbi Kurzweil's books on genealogy, conversations with Rabbi Steinsaltz, Torah for Dummies, Kabbalah for Dummies, hopefully a book on magic coming out soon, and so many others. Thank you so much for taking this time.
Thank you. Thanks so much.
Bracha.
Oof. Sorry. Almost right. Yeah, I think we'll just end it here. So, this was fun, and I'll do it again. So, take care, everyone.
Want to tell the Rebbe the words of the new song that we're singing with Mashiach, right? So I'm just going to read them. Am Yisrael, have no fear. Mashiach will be here this year. We want Mashiach now. We don't want to wait. Okay? Mashiach now, we want Mashiach now. Oh yeah, Am Yisrael, have no fear, Mashiach will be this year. Am Yisrael, have no fear, Mashiach will be here this year. And because we want Mashiach now, we want Mashiach now, we don't want to wait. We want Mashiach now, Mashiach now, we don't want to wait.